Hi there, Filter 021. Episode 2 of Humans. I kind of wanted to call this one Niska pulls a Skynet, but no. Overall, last night's episode kind of raises a couple of more questions, but so far, this is what we've got so far. Alright. Let's see. We know that Laura Hawkins is afraid of spiders. Well, I know a lot of people are afraid of insects, but hey. But the fact that Anita seems to be playing a weird game with her is kind of one of those odd little things in the episode. The I'm watching you too. That little exchange is, at best, I can describe, well, creepy. It is kind of creepy. Because then you know something is going in Anita slash Mia's head. You're not really sure what it is, but you know something's going on. These flashbacks of being underwater, a car, and all types of things is just it's just building. We have Leo, and we'll get to his little revelation later. Leo's search reveals enough to find out that you've got these, I guess, oh man, slave recapturing types, but in this case, synth recapturing types, and and it's already established that this is a really fucked up situation. This society is kind of fucked up when you think about it. Then we get to Nurse Ratchet, Vera, with George. We know that he does not really like this overbearing object invading his privacy. There's no real honest to goodness personality with this synth. And we also get the revelation that he was one of the people who helped create the synths. Now we have Hob. Hob in his he is kind of on the mysterious side because you're not really sure. Is he out to gather them for, I guess, uh, curiosity reasons? Is he there for his, um, I don't know, maybe he has some more altruistic motives involved. Who knows? Maddie Hawkins, of course, whose existence is just she just feels hopeless. She realizes that there's nothing she can do. She's not a poet. She's nothing. She is smart, but the problem is she's rather use her intelligence to just screw things up for these synths. I get the funny feeling that in later episodes she's going to really play a major part in all this, in this entire situation. Now, D.S. Drummond. This is one guy who I think it's really on the verge of doing something very fucked up. He's constantly looking at the synth taking care of his wife. Almost again, sort of like the way Laura looks at Anita slash Mia, the same way. Like, oh my god, I got this sexual rival in the house. Even though for both of them, there's really no cause for them to really worry, but it's the human jealousy factor that just kicks in, and it just exasperates it. Considering D.S. Drummond's synth is this beefcake looking guy, you know, so that's what's kind of funny. Now we get to some really fucked up scenes. Niska. The fact that it starts out with her lying on the bed, her eyes just open, this look of like, I am tired of this existence, of being in this stupid little brothel. Then the humiliation of disinfecting. And you can almost see it in their eyes. And I'll give kudos to the actress for doing this. This sort of feeling that she's conveying that she's like, this is so humiliating. And and then the scream. I'm not sure whether they just decided not to have it, audio, or whether it's just her wanting to scream, but she's actually shut, the sound off. You know, is she doing it? Think about it. Is she just going because without the sound because of a frustration, or did they purposely like cut the sound out? Something to really think about. Ah, boy. Now, this part is really kind of fucked up, and that's the Hawkins' son. He already likes Anita slash Mia in the house. He she's eye candy. She's total eye candy. I mean, let's face facts. It's not like she's an actual human being per se, but think about it. You have something like that. He's supposed to be a teenage boy. The whole puberty sexuality thing really gets into high gear. Yeah, let's face it, we've all been 15 or so, and our hormones are like in overdrive at this point for whatever, genetic reasons. And but we'll get to him a little later. Okay. At one point, we get back to Niska. Niska is in her booth, and the guy comes in, and this just sets things off. He's nervous, and you think, hey, maybe this is his first time doing it. Okay, you're like, all right, it's his first time with a synth. But then when he says, I want you to act young and scared. Now this is the final straw for Niska. And this is why I wanted to name the video at one point. Niska goes all Skynet, where she defiantly just basically says, fuck you. Not so many words, but no. And you're left with this idea that this guy who wants this is basically some type of pedophile. And for her, whatever ethical program she's got running in there, she knows this is wrong. This is denigrating. It's bad enough she has to do this with slimy individuals, but now she has to do it with this guy who's depraved. I mean, she's fed up with doing depraved shit for human beings. And that's when she just kind of does the proverbial choke slam on his, well, not slam, but throws, has him up against the wall, snaps his neck, takes his jacket, and walks the fuck out the door. And of course, the madam, the brothel owner, basically tries to stop her, and and Niska reminds her of something. What they do to me, they want to do to you. You could take that as whatever it means, but that's just basically it. Back to the Hawkins' son. It's very interesting. He's trying to cop a feel off Anita slash Mia. Oh fuck! I'm just gonna call it Anita from until she starts asserting herself as Mia. Okay. Tries to cop a feel. Yeah, his hormones are raging. This lifelike object, dare I say, is there, and again, he wants to, he tries to, but Anita kind of reminds him no, and at this point, this is where it gets really interesting. Anita uses discretion. For all intents and purposes, she could have just said something to the parents. You can see the look of sheer terror on the son's face. He's like, he's like, oh my god, they're gonna tell my parents what am I gonna do? And you don't know what. We've seen teenagers in desperate moves do stupid things. And what happens is she uses discretion. Says, basically a nice way of saying, I ain't gonna tell your parents, but don't do it again. Period. Again, and then we have more flashbacks of this water thing. Now Hobbs gets some information also, and now has a visual off of from of Mia this time because it's the past version, and now he might be getting close to getting them. Now the big reveal is Leo possibly being maybe a first generation synth, as George was operating on him and he pulls the wires and he starts charging him, and you're like, what the hell? Or he's some type of cyborg, but I'm going to take a wild gamble that he's the first generation. Now, there's something very, very interesting that happens in this episode also. And it starts when Laura Hawkins decides she's going to call the company to take Anita back. Hopefully, to be just take her back, or at least reprogrammed. But at the same time, um, Sophie, the daughter, Sophie Hawkins, starts crying. Now, this is very interesting because you would think the mother's instinct would run to the child first, but instead she stays on the phone and Anita goes upstairs. Reaches the child first. Sophie has more of a connection with Anita because the mom is too busy and too distant to do anything to be a mom. The father in this show is kind of been downgraded. You know, he's there to kind of be a little present a little bit of an argument here and there, but he's kind of downgraded, at least in this episode. Then by the end of the episode, you've got um, uh, essentially the strange grin on Anita's face when she's told that she's got to go back. That was odd. Also, what's odd is her lack of sharing. She sees the other synth. The synth requests sharing. I guess it's their version of Facebook or something. I don't know. And she refuses. There is a reason here. All right. Questions about this. I keep looking at the ethical shit of this show and the concept of artificial intelligences. When you suddenly have a bunch of robots doing the menial labor, where does that leave the people without skills to earn money for their families? Where does that leave them? You know, it's not like in science fiction movies where the robots do all the work and everybody can become scholars and poets and everything. No, people do need to work. They need to do something. To have the robots do everything for you, to me, is just really, really weird. It puts a lot of people out of work, not just janitors and workmen, but believe it or not, sex workers. I mean, the advantages are interesting. You don't have to worry about disease. You don't have to worry about age. You don't really have to worry about the health and welfare, to quote Guinan from that Star Trek episode. You just clean them off and put them back in. Make sure the room is clean and neatened up, and that's it. Look pretty. That's it. It puts a lot of people out of work, especially in times of desperation. Which is why it's interesting, and I have to bring this to a sort of real world thing, which comes to something like slavery during in the United States. Because most people don't understand that 5% of the population owns slaves. And a good amount of people in the South, from what I understand, wouldn't have minded slavery ending. Because the slave owners were undercutting business owners. The people who ran their own plantations and paid people to grow crops and whatever. That, think about it. You can undercut somebody. I'm pretty sure some of you might have a decent argument on this one in a little bit more detail, and I'd love to correspond to you on that subject. But all in all, this episode is reaching some. It raises more questions, and I guess as we as human beings, we really have to figure out where this is all going to lead at some point in time. Well, that's enough for me. I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rate it. If you have a comment, please tell me whatever you have in mind. And until then, y'all have a good one.